when James originally reached out and said, come clear with what's made you successful, the framework that I almost live by is process drives performance and performance drives the end goal, right? And ultimately the end goal that we're looking to get here is how can we become successful in our role as in sales? How can we earn money off the back of it? The way I've split it up into two halves, so that the first half is going to be really focused around some tips that I've learned from some of the leaders that I've worked for around mindset and discipline. The second half is then some tips around how you can go and improve your sales conversations. And hopefully at the end of today, you'll be able to take one of these, apply it in the next 24 hours or so, and it'll take you closer to that financial goal that you want to get to. But if I start off, I think it's similar to what Johnny was mentioning, but if I was beginning my path at a company, and I've been going through this journey recently at Multiverse, right? It's firstly, I'd be looking at, is there a clear roadmap to success that's already been defined within my organization, right? And if there has been a roadmap that's been defined, go out and have as many conversations with as many different people to try and understand what have they done well, what have they done badly, what would they have changed if they had their time again. Then apply that all to yourself, and then you can go, and then at least you have an idea of what are the processes that you need to master to get to that end goal. One thing I'm not devoid of is the fact that not every organization has a clearly defined roadmap, right? So if you don't have that, what I would really suggest is leveraging that external network and going and speaking to people that are leaders in different businesses, different industries. And one thing you'll be really surprised by, and I know I have been for the last couple of years, it's the amount of senior leaders that are willing to invest time into you if you're coming in with a position to learn, right? And I've had a number of CROs, VPs of sales give me time to help me, and just because I came in with the view to want to learn. So that's the first piece. Understand that clear roadmap, either leverage your internal or external network. Secondly, I think Johnny touched on this a little bit, but it's those emotional setbacks, right? And there's no secret that in sales, you're going to be getting a lot of no's, a lot of emotional setbacks. For me, it was around how can you find tools that helps you sort of get back into a sort of calm state. For me, it's the likes of meditation, breath work, all that kind of thing. I mean, what I'm not saying for 1 second is everyone needs to start meditating and everyone needs to start doing breath work. But what I would really encourage you is, what are the practices that you can put into your day-to-day that will then allow you to refocus quickly and move on to the next challenge. And then the third piece around discipline and motivation that I really wish I'd have known sooner actually is the piece around distraction and multitasking. And all of the research shows, right, that when you're distracted, when you're multitasking, the quality of work that you do drops significantly. And in the current day, right, you've got constant Zoom messages, Teams messages, emails, phone calls coming from all different directions, and it's really easy to get distracted when you're working. One thing that's really helped me and that a manager talked through with me is, that time blocking the diary, even to a point of when am I going to respond to emails? When am I going to respond to Teams messages? When am I going to respond to Slack messages? And one thing you'll be really surprised by is how many messages actually need that immediate response that you think they do. It tends to be not as many as you think. So they're the first three pieces around motivation and discipline. Now I'm going to quickly touch on some of the sales specifics, things that I think will be able to help you improve your sales conversations with prospects. So firstly, it's around the actual art of human communication, right? So this was a stat when I found it out, it baffled me, but 55% of human communication is visual, 38% is the tone or tonality, and then only 7% are the words that are coming out of your mouth, right? So right now when I'm speaking to you, the words that I'm saying don't really matter. What you're seeing across the screen and the tone that I'm saying it with is what's ultimately driving this conversation. So I really encourage, next time you're having a conversation with a prospect or a client, rather than spending all of that time thinking about building out a great talk track or writing out specific questions, add the tone piece into it. How can you speak in a tone that helps you build trust with your clients? The second piece around those sort of sales tips is being really clear on the impact that you want to have before every conversation. And of course, right, having a clear sales methodology or qualification framework is really important, but being really clear on that impact is equally as important, in my opinion. And I use the model, the 3 Ps, right? So whenever I'm going into an interaction, it's 1, have I come across as professional? Am I a credible person they'd want to do business with? Secondly, am I passionate? Have I genuinely shown to some degree that I care about their world, their business, which links into that third P, which is around, have I made it personal? And if you've done those three things, quite often you'll find that it will leave your client or prospective client feeling good, and you'll get the next steps that you want to get to. Finally, I'll just wrap up, and anyone who's ever sort of heard me or from Multiverse or Gartner on the call, it's around being direct with prospects. And I think quite often you'll sense a little bit of hesitation from a client, or you'll sense a bit of hesitation from a prospect. Don't be afraid to call it out, linking into that first piece, right, around the tone. If you ask a question with the right tone, your client and prospect is going to be receptive. I always use an example of a cold call I did a couple of years ago when the client said that they were going into a meeting at 10:53. I called it out as a joke. We got the meeting, and then eventually we did the deal. So I guess to summarize, guys, mindset and discipline, a few tips there to help you with your sales conversations. And I'll hand it back over to James.